Your waiting was preparation, not punishment. Some of you have been asking the same question for years. Why is it taking so long? You prayed, you worked, you sacrificed, you stayed faithful when it would have been easier to quit. You watched other people move ahead while your life seemed frozen. Every time you thought the breakthrough was coming, another delay appeared. Every time you believed the door was about to open, it stayed closed. That kind of waiting can make you question everything. It can make you wonder if God has forgotten your address, if your prayers are reaching heaven, or if your dreams were only wishful thinking. But what if the waiting was never designed to hurt you? What if it was designed to prepare you? There is a difference between being delayed and being denied. A delay gives you time to become the person who can carry the blessing. A denial closes the opportunity completely. Too many people mistake God's preparation for God's rejection. They see the silence and assume abandonment. They see the closed door and assume failure. They see the process and think they are being punished. Preparation is uncomfortable because it stretches every part of you. It challenges your patience. It exposes your weaknesses. It reveals the places where your character still needs to grow. Anyone can celebrate when life is easy. Anyone can stay committed when every prayer is answered immediately. Real growth happens when you keep showing up even when you cannot see the results. Think about what happens before a building rises into the sky. Nobody celebrates the foundation. Most people drive past a construction site and think nothing is happening because all they see is dirt being moved. They do not realize that the deeper the foundation, the taller the building can stand. If you rush the foundation, you risk the entire structure. What looks like slow progress is often the most important work taking place. Your life is no different. You may feel like nothing is changing, but underneath the surface, your foundation is becoming stronger. Your faith is getting deeper. Your endurance is increasing. Your perspective is changing. Your priorities are being refined. You are becoming someone who can handle what you have been asking for. Imagine receiving everything you prayed for before you develop the wisdom to manage it. Success without maturity creates destruction. Influence without character creates corruption. Opportunity without discipline creates waste. The blessing is never meant to become your burden. That is why preparation matters. Sometimes you are asking God to change your situation while God is focused on changing you. You want the promotion, but God is developing your leadership. You want the platform, but God is strengthening your integrity. You want the increase, but God is teaching you stewardship. You want the victory, but God is building resilience. Every difficult season carries lessons that comfort never teaches. Pressure teaches endurance, obstacles teach creativity, disappointment teaches perseverance, waiting teaches trust. These lessons become part of who you are. They cannot be borrowed from someone else. They cannot be purchased. They are developed through experience. Do not underestimate the value of hidden seasons. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees a harvest. Roots expand before branches reach toward the sky. The greatest transformations often happen where nobody is watching. The world celebrates public success, but heaven values private preparation. Stop measuring your life only by visible results. Measure it by the person you are becoming. Are you stronger than you were last year? Are you wiser than you were before the struggle began? Do you respond differently to challenges? Have you learned to remain steady when circumstances refuse to change? Those are signs that preparation has taken place. The waiting has been teaching you discipline when shortcuts looked attractive. It has been teaching you consistency when emotions wanted control. It has been teaching you courage when fear whispered that you should settle for less. Every day you refused to quit, something inside you became stronger. Do not let frustration convince you that your time has been wasted. Every challenge has been adding weight to your character. Every setback has been increasing your resilience. Every closed door has been sharpening your focus. Every disappointment has been removing the distractions that could have pulled you away from your purpose. Every season of uncertainty has been strengthening the foundation that will support the future you have been praying to experience. Divine timing is greater than human timing. One of the hardest battles in life is not believing that God can do something. It is believing that He will do it at the right time. Most people can trust God's power, but they struggle to trust His timing. They know He is able, but they keep asking why Mondi, Nobdi, Andi. Every passing day feels like another unanswered question. Every delay feels like another test of endurance. Every season of waiting can make it seem as though everyone else is moving forward while you remain standing in the same place. The world teaches you to move faster. It celebrates instant results, overnight success, and immediate gratification. Everywhere you look, people are racing against the clock. They compare achievements, measure progress by age, and believe that if something has not happened yet, then they have somehow fallen behind. That kind of thinking creates pressure, frustration, and unnecessary fear. But God does not operate by the calendar of culture. He operates according to purpose. There is a difference between being late according to people and being perfectly on time according to God. Human timing is driven by emotion. Divine timing is directed by wisdom. Human timing asks, how fast can this happen? Divine timing asks, when will this produce the greatest impact? Those are two completely different questions. Sometimes you are focused on getting out of the season, while God is focused on making sure the season has finished its work inside of you. If the lesson is incomplete, the promotion becomes dangerous. If the character's unfinished, the opportunity becomes overwhelming. If the foundation is weak, the weight of success becomes too heavy to carry. Many people want the harvest without respecting the process. They plant the seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. They forget that everything valuable develops over time. A farmer never digs up the seed every morning to check if it's growing, constantly disturbing the process only delays the harvest. Faith learns to trust what cannot yet be seen. That is where many people lose heart. They mistake silence for absence. They assume that because nothing appears to be happening, nothing is happening at all. But some of the greatest work takes place where your eyes cannot see it. While you are watching the surface, God is working beneath it. While you are counting the days, He is arranging circumstances. While you are worrying about closed doors, He is preparing the right one to open. Think about how many details have to come together before one opportunity changes your life. The right people have to cross paths, the right conversations have to happen, the right lessons have to be learned, the right decisions have to be made. One event connects to another, and another connects to someone you have not even met yet. What feels slow from your perspective is often a masterpiece of divine coordination. That is why comparison is so dangerous. You cannot compare your journey with someone else's schedule. You do not know what they have been prepared for, and they do not know what you have been prepared for. Every assignment has its own timing. Every purpose has its own season. Every calling unfolds according to a design that cannot be rushed. Pressure often whispers, force the door open. Wisdom says, wait until the door opens the right way. There is a huge difference between creating an opportunity through desperation and walking into one that has been prepared through purpose. One produces stress, the other produces peace. Some people have missed incredible opportunities because they became impatient. They settled for less simply because they were tired of waiting. They accepted relationships that weakened them because they feared being alone. They took shortcuts that damaged their integrity because they wanted immediate success. They compromised values for temporary results, only to discover that anything gained outside of wisdom usually costs more than it is worth. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strength under control. It is the confidence to believe that you do not have to manipulate your future because God already sees it. It is the discipline to remain faithful while everything around you tells you to panic. It is the courage to keep preparing when there is no visible applause, no public recognition, and no immediate reward. There will always be voices telling you that you are behind. They will point to someone else's accomplishments, someone else's business, someone else's family, someone else's platform, and someone else's success. They will try to convince you that your value is determined by how quickly things happen. Refuse to measure your life by another person's timeline. Your purpose cannot be evaluated by someone else's clock. The greatest breakthroughs often arrive after the longest seasons of preparation because timing is not about convenience. It is about readiness. When preparation and opportunity meet, what looked like years of delay suddenly becomes the foundation for a moment that changes everything. Faith must be stronger than your feelings. There are days when your feelings will tell you to quit. They will whisper that nothing is changing, that your prayers are accomplishing nothing, and that your best days have already passed. Feelings are powerful because they speak loudly in moments of disappointment. They take one bad day and convince you that you have a bad life. They take one closed door and convince you that every door will remain closed. They take one setback and try to write the story of your entire future. That is why you cannot build your life on feelings. Feelings change with circumstances. Faith remains steady when circumstances refuse to move. Some mornings you wake up energized, confident, and ready to conquer every challenge. Other mornings you wake up carrying disappointment, frustration, and exhaustion. If your commitment depends on how you feel, then your consistency will disappear the moment life becomes difficult. Great victories are never built on emotional highs alone. They are built on the decision to keep moving even when your emotions are fighting against you. Anyone can believe when everything is working. It is easy to smile when the bank account is growing. It is easy to celebrate when every application is accepted, every relationship is healthy, and every opportunity seems to fall into place. The true test of faith begins when the evidence around you appears to contradict the promise inside you. That is the moment when you have to decide which voice will lead your life. Will you listen to fear or will you choose faith? Fear always focuses on what is missing. Faith focuses on what is still possible. Fear counts obstacles. Faith counts opportunities. Fear studies limitations. Faith believes that today's limitations do not have to become tomorrow's reality. Every person faces moments where emotions become louder than hope. You may feel forgotten. You may feel overlooked. You may feel as though your efforts have gone unnoticed. Those feelings are real, but they are not always reliable. Feelings describe your emotional condition. They do not define your destiny. Too many dreams have been abandoned because people believed everything they felt. They assumed that because they felt weak, they actually were weak. Because they felt alone, they believed they had been abandoned. Because they felt uncertain, they assumed they had no future. Emotions can influence your perspective, but they should never become the foundation of your decisions. Think about the moments in your life when you accomplished something meaningful. Chances are you did not always feel ready. You did not always feel confident. You did not always feel qualified, yet you kept moving. Every step forward proved that determination is stronger than temporary emotion. Faith is not pretending that problems do not exist. Faith is refusing to let problems have the final word. It acknowledges the challenge without surrendering to it. It recognizes the obstacle without allowing the obstacle to become an excuse. Faith does not deny reality. It declares that reality is not the end of the story. Your emotions may tell you that the battle is too difficult. Faith reminds you that difficult battles often produce the strongest people. Your emotions may tell you that you have waited too long. Faith reminds you that valuable things are worth waiting for. Your emotions may tell you that one failure defines your future. Faith reminds you that failure is an event, not an identity. You cannot allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. One difficult season should never convince you to abandon a lifelong purpose. One painful experience should never stop you from believing again. One disappointment should never become the reason you settle for less than what you were created to pursue. Every challenge is asking one question: which will be stronger today, your faith or your feelings? When you keep moving despite uncertainty, your faith grows stronger. When you remain committed despite disappointment, your character becomes stronger. When you continue preparing despite delays, your confidence is no longer dependent on circumstances, but on conviction. There will be moments when nobody understands your determination. People may look at your situation and tell you to lower your expectations. They may encourage you to settle because they cannot see what you see. Do not borrow someone else's limitations. They are making decisions based on what they can observe today, while faith looks beyond today's circumstances toward tomorrow's possibilities. Guard your mind carefully, because whatever you repeatedly feed your thoughts will eventually shape your actions. If you constantly rehearse defeat, you will begin to act defeated. If you constantly rehearse fear, you will begin to avoid every opportunity. But if you continually strengthen your mind with hope, purpose, discipline, and confidence, you develop the resilience to keep standing when everything around you suggests giving up. Real faith is demonstrated through action. It keeps preparing while waiting. It keeps learning while growing. It keeps serving while believing. It keeps showing up with excellence even when recognition has not arrived. It keeps planting seeds even when the harvest has not yet appeared. It keeps speaking with confidence even when the evidence is still unfolding, because faith refuses to surrender its future to the emotions of the present moment. When God's moment arrives, nothing can stop it. There comes a moment when everything changes, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated the situation, not because you knew the right people or had the perfect strategy. There comes a moment when what has been building in the unseen suddenly becomes visible. What looked impossible begins to unfold. What felt delayed begins to move with incredible speed. The doors that would not open yesterday begin to swing wide today. The opportunities you spent years praying for suddenly appear in front of you. That is the power of the right moment. People often think that success is the result of one lucky day. They see the breakthrough, but they never see the preparation behind it. They notice the victory, but they ignore the years of discipline, sacrifice, growth, and perseverance that made the victory possible. They celebrate the harvest without appreciating the seasons of planning, watering, and waiting. Your breakthrough is never created in a single day. It is revealed in a single day. There are seasons when it feels as though every effort produces little reward. You keep working, but the results seem small. You keep believing, but the evidence appears limited. You keep preparing, but nobody notices your progress. It is tempting to believe that your labor is accomplishing nothing. It is tempting to assume that your commitment is being wasted, but growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. A seed spends time hidden beneath the ground before anyone celebrates the harvest. During that hidden season, something important is happening. Roots are expanding. Strength is developing. Life is forming beneath the surface. Anyone looking from the outside may think that nothing is happening because they judge progress by what they can see. Real transformation begins long before public recognition arrives. Many people quit because they mistake hidden progress for no progress. They stop one step before the breakthrough because they become tired of waiting. They abandon the process because they cannot yet see the results. They allow temporary frustration to rob them of permanent opportunities. Do not let the silence convince you that nothing is moving. Even when you cannot trace every detail, preparation is taking place. Every lesson you have learned has been adding value to your future. Every challenge has been strengthening your character. Every disappointment has been increasing your resilience. Every setback has been teaching you something that success alone could never teach. Then comes the moment when preparation meets opportunity. Suddenly, the conversation you have been waiting for happens. The opportunity you thought had disappeared returns. The answer you prayed for begins to unfold. The relationship is restored. The business grows. The vision gains momentum. What seemed impossible for years begins to happen in ways you never expected. People who only see the outcome may call it luck. They may say you were fortunate or that everything happened overnight. They rarely understand that overnight success usually has years of unseen preparation behind it. Never underestimate what one moment can accomplish. One decision can redirect your future. One opportunity can open doors that remain open for years. One act of obedience can position you for a lifetime of influence. One conversation can introduce you to people who completely change the direction of your journey. One breakthrough can erase years of discouragement. That is why you cannot afford to give up during the waiting season. You never know how close you are to the moment everything begins to shift. The darkest hour often comes before the sunrise. The greatest pressure often appears just before the breakthrough. Resistance is not always a sign that you are moving in the wrong direction. Sometimes resistance is evidence that you are approaching something valuable. Stay prepared, even when nobody is watching. Continue improving your skills. Continue developing your character. Continue strengthening your discipline. Continue protecting your integrity. Continue serving with excellence. Continue believing when your emotions tell you to stop. When opportunity arrives, preparation gives you the confidence to step through the door instead of shrinking back in fear. Many people pray for open doors, but never prepare themselves to walk through them. They ask for greater influence, but neglect personal growth. They desire bigger responsibilities while avoiding the discipline required to manage them. Preparation ensures that when the opportunity finally comes, you are ready instead of overwhelmed. Nothing is more powerful than a prepared person standing in the right moment. When preparation and purpose come together, obstacles begin to lose their influence. Fear loses its control, doubt loses its voice, delay loses its power. The things that once stood in your way become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks because the strength you developed during the waiting season now becomes the foundation that allows you to carry the very blessing you spent years believing would one day arrive.